Hello and welcome back. We're going to be playing another game of rapid chess here and recording it. So we're looking for our what I normally do on these videos, so 1510 time control, and we're moving up in rating. So we're facing about a 1900 and we're playing with the white pieces here. So king pawn opening, and it looks like we have a Caro-Kann defense. Excellent. So we have c6, d5. And against the Caro-Kann defense, I like to play what's called a Panov attack here, the Panov-Alapin attack, which is c4. And it got our opponent thinking here. So we have c4, Alapin attack. And the book move to this, I think, is knight f6 here. So we will see if our opponent finds it, and this enters into a little bit more dubious of a line here. So first we take, and this actually transposes it into the Alapin Sicilian defense, which I do play incidentally. So we play knight f6 first, defending this pawn here, and excellent. We have this line, the central exchange line, where we go bishop to g4, our opponent does, and we hit this queen with tempo on c3. So now you might be thinking, well, isn't this knight pinned? Like can't they just take, and take? Yes, and the line goes deeper than that. So we will have to continue our calculation here after they take. So the best move is to actually take on f3 for our opponent here, but we will see how they proceed in this position. We will see if they play something else. If they play something like queen back to d8, I believe d5, a d5 push is instantly winning, and I will show and demonstrate why that is. And we get a chance to demonstrate why. So d5 hits the board, and this is essentially an opening trap in the Alapin Sicilian variation. d5 hits the board. Okay, and we have the brilliant move here. I don't mean to laugh. We have the brilliant move, knight takes e5, boom. And oh no, our queen hits the board, but then bishop b5 hits the board here. Bishop b5, check. And the only move is to guard with the queen here, whereupon we can simply take. And now things get even worse for black. We can take the bishop first as the most accurate move. And notice how we're also threatening to fork this rook here. I mean, this is like lost on a level that is just like miserable for black here. It's miserable to play any more moves here for black. But knight a6, we remove the defender of f7 here. First, they have to recapture, and then we hit the fork on f7, and we're up even more material than we already are. So we're up +6 here, and this is unrecoverable and resignable for black already. So this is also another interesting aspect of the Panov-Alapin attack, is that you can, if they don't know what they're doing, knight c6 is a line that transposes into the Alapin, which the Alapin can be incredibly poisonous if the opponent doesn't know what they're doing, and it's likely that a Caro-Kann player does not know what they're doing when they enter into an Alapin line, and they get hit with something like this, and it's like resignation essentially after 10 moves in the game. You just devastate your opponent with a line like this, and this is just, it's just over after this. So we have our opponent thinking here, probably contemplating their life choices of even playing chess. But yeah, no, it's just an opening trap. Like, it's just a line in the Alapin that I know can also occur if the Panov attack is played incorrectly as well. So unfortunate day for our opponent here. So we have f6, and we can just deliver this fork here. I believe is probably so we deliver this fork, and then I think we can escape with our knight at the end of that line. Knight takes here. It's going to be knight here, takes. Maybe king drops back here. And then we are going to, he's going to try to develop his knight probably so he can, yeah, I mean, this is winning. This is definitely a way to win. I mean, we don't have to bother with the little differences of like, can we untrap our knight? Like, it doesn't even matter, essentially. Like, we're up so much material that even if black does trap our knight in the corner here, it doesn't even like have a bearing on if we can win this game. So what is a way we can try to untrap our knight? Well, that's a good question, and I don't think there is actually an answer to that. So I think instead we can try to have a different type of advantage here. We can play knight b5, jumping to get potentially another fork here. Now, I mean, we can play this. Well, let's not get too wild. Let's play bishop e3, developing our other piece, and then in response to like a6, we'll jump this knight in here and make things even more torturous for our opponent to play here. So we'll jump our knight back down to d4. I mean, this is pretty simple chess we're playing, and then we'll have our knight here on a very nice outpost. And we can even look to exchange rooks. So now we can't castle. Why is my king on? Okay, so obviously the threat is to take here. We don't have this move because it comes with check. But we can play something like king e2. Is probably decent. Bomb cloud. The king e2, popularized by British chess master Bong Lord MacLeod. It's a pretty good move. And then something like rook to c. c1 is fine. Okay, so we have this. Now we can play this and simplify material. We can play this, and this sets a trap. Sets a trap of, yeah, and he falls directly face first into this trap. So we were not going for the bishop, we were going for the rook here. Insta resign. Okay, so yeah. That is certainly GG. That's certainly GG. So let's move into an analysis of this. Kind of a cool opening trap. You could consider it both the Alapin Sicilian and the Panov attack. So we have e5, c6, d4, d5, takes, and c4 is the Panov attack. And knight c6 is kind of a dubious response to the Panov because of the fact that it can be transposed into the Alapin here with c takes d5. And now the only move is queen takes, and this line is essentially forced here. Knight f3 guards the pawn, very natural. Bishop g4 is very natural and the best engine move here. But now knight c3, and this move is a tempo move. It hits the queen. And the only move essentially that keeps black in the game here is bishop takes f3. Any other move essentially loses, and oftentimes you can play d5 against any other move that black has here. So you might say, like, what the hell are you doing? This knight is going to jump into e5 here and pressure. But yeah, you simply just take the knight, and that's because after queen takes, we see what we saw in the game, bishop b5 check. And now the only move is queen d7, and you have bishop takes queen, king d8, and the most accurate move here for white is actually king takes d1, and that is because that black has no way to defend this fork anyway. The bishop is guarding the king's route to f7, and also if the knight jumps here to guard, we just take. So f6 is the best move. Knight to f7 check, and we fork the rook anyways, and we're up +8. And it doesn't even matter at this point if our knight gets trapped in the corner, because we're up so much material that it doesn't essentially matter at this point. So knight b5, looking to fork, obviously, is a one-move threat. We could have taken the pawn, but I don't even care about the pawns at this point. I just want to develop my other pieces. So bishop to e3, a6, and knight back to d4. And then, yeah, knight e6 already works, it says. I didn't want him to take with check, so I played king e2, bomb cloud. And now knight e6 is devastating. And in response to take, you have the fork here. And that's just resignation. So, yeah, that is an opening trap. And you might ask, well, that's a pretty cool opening trap in the Panov attack, but how did it transpose to the Alapin Sicilian defense? That is an excellent question. So let's see how the Alapin Sicilian can go into this line. So c5 here in response to e4 is the Sicilian, and then you have the Alapin. And this transposition happens when you have, I believe it's this line. It's e takes, queen takes, d4, and then it's kind of dubious, but they take here on d4, you take back, and then they have knight c6. And you can see this is the exact same line that happened earlier. Knight f3, bishop to g4 here, and then knight c3, and the position is the exact same as what we had in the game, and it originated from the Alapin here. So queen moves back to d8, you have d5 here. It's the same exact line reached through a different move order, right? That's what a transposition is. So that is my demonstration of the opening trap that can be reached from both the Alapin and the Panov. It's one of many opening traps in the Alapin Sicilian. It's probably one of the most poisonous openings I play if the opponent doesn't know what they're doing. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you in the next one. That will be the conclusion of the video.